That's what has to be done. Whether people say, I want to live, or I love my life, that is irrelevant to the question of whether this living thing has creating any net profit, whether the system of life is working. Alright, you could ask the car, you could ask the steering wheel, how's the car doing? Or you could ask the seats, how's the car doing? And it might be different though if you ask the engine how the car's doing. It depends on who you ask and what question you ask. But in the end, the bottom line is I still have to worry that my logic has integrity. The only thing I care about is whether the logic adds up. What other people's opinions are, what they subjectively feel about their life, and whether they think they're accomplishing something is, again, no, it would be as stupid as me asking a heroin addict what heroin is. There'd be no point in me asking heroin addicts whether heroin has value. That would be stupid.
But doesn't your logic lead to the conclusion that everybody should not suffer? I mean, doesn't it ultimately boil down to that, to the subjective feeling of suffering or pleasure?
Sorry, that's not a coherent question.
I don't. Okay, you're saying that it's illogical because you're saying that it's illogical to have life because some people are suffering and that matters, and how much pleasure does it take to justify the suffering of others?
Well, why can't you paraphrase it easier than that? It's really not that complicated. I've said it's not worth it because the net equation indicates that their suffering isn't justified by some more valuable, truly positive accomplishment. Okay? The net equation doesn't balance.
But the positive ultimately boils down to the collective subjective experiences of everybody, right? Or no?
Wrong. No. If you're going to count subjective experiences as subjective opinions, there's no fucking point. Yes, of course it has to do with individual experiences. Yes, some people right now are going to experience migraine headaches. Some people experience orgasm. Some people da-da-da-da. I'm saying when you add it all up, okay, you don't have something that's beautiful and wonderful. You have something that is tainted. It's the bad apple syndrome. Okay, I mean, one brain tumor spoils the whole pie kind of thing. So maybe you could have an orgy with 10 people having great fun. Now, if I throw one brain tumor in that, one patient having horrible pain into that orgy, all of a sudden the orgy ain't so fucking spectacular anymore.
What I don't get is why we can't just end that one person with the brain tumor. Why does it have to be all the other people having the orgy?
What is the indication? Where on this roadmap do you see the possibility of finding that road? I'm just saying there's no indication that human beings are moving anywhere close to that. Human beings are becoming more selfish, more self-obsessed, more egomaniacal, more sports icon, hero worship, fucking bullshit every fucking goddamn day, more trivial, more silly. Where's the evidence that human beings are going to do what it takes to improve the conditions of the average human being's life?
No, in that respect, I definitely agree. I the outlook
comfortable exploiting the Chinese. We become perfectly comfortable with all kinds of mechanisms that are nothing short of fucking overt slavery and child abuse.
No, like I said, I agree with you. The outlook does look pretty bleak, especially, I mean, I've thought to myself many times, I wonder how we're going to survive this technological revolution. As technology progresses and things get more devastating and smaller and harder to detect, it's only a matter of, it doesn't even take a religious nut, just any depressed person, or even someone with a mindset like you, if they had, access to some technology that could end the world in a second, they're going to press it. So I don't know if we can survive the technological revolution, really. You're muted. Can't hear you.
Be a pretty big nightmare scenario to have me on the old Russian submarine. Damn right. Yeah, that's another risk I've talked about a lot of time. I guess in a big motherfucking trouble. So we're not going to survive that long. We don't have long to make radical changes, and there's little prospect of that happening. And there's a very huge risk that what will happen, though, is that the whole human race is going to get totally out of control, that civilization will be broken down, that billions of people will be killed. They won't die off. They won't die off through attrition. They won't grow old and die. They won't just not reproduce. No, we're going to kill people hard. We're going to starve them to death. We're going to kill them with diseases, and we're going to just outright murder and burn their skin off. That shit's going to fucking take place in every likelihood on this fucking planet in the very near future. That's the reality, and that's just going to be one more pile of horror to be put on the whole litany list of horror that's taken place over the last fucking 2 billion years on planet Earth. And you people are all fucking real comfortable with that fucking DNA life fucking addiction game, and you haven't accomplished anything yet. Not one motherfucking thing. You put some junk on the moon. You built some pointy things in the desert somewhere. What the fuck else have you motherfuckers accomplished? You wrote a few little soap operas, and you cried a few tears, and you went before you orgasm. But what the fuck else have you accomplished?
Well, I mean, think of the time frames that we're talking about here. I mean, we're only talking hundreds,
Gary, how long
thousands of years.
to colonize the solar system?
Yeah, well, I tried to kick him, but it didn't work out. Anyway. Go ahead, finish your point. I don't know where you were.
I think that guy just asked about colonizing other planets or something.
Yeah,
but
he's an asshole. You go ahead and talk. That guy is just somebody to kick. He's not a human.
Okay. So yeah, so I guess this is the part that I'm a little confused about with your position. It's you seem like, on the one hand, you say it doesn't seem like we're ever going to be able to solve all these problems, and I would probably agree with you that it doesn't look good. I don't know if we're going to be here 500, 1,000 years from now. I really don't. But what I don't understand is when I give you a hypothetical, like say we do, and we come up with we reduce suffering to almost nothing. Even then, you seem to be arguing that it's just not worth it. You would still press the red button to end everything, and that's the disconnect.
I'm just saying, if you got to that world, why would I press the button? I wouldn't bother pressing it then, as long as there was no risk. I mean, as long as there still wasn't some risk that the whole thing goes to hell and billions of people end up living in shit and glow in the dark and all that kind of crap. So if you eliminate all the risk and it's all pretty easy and comfortable for every sentient thing on Earth, why the fuck would I worry about it? I'm not going to worry about it because you're all neutral. You're all pretty much milk cleaning itself up. There's no extra mess left over. There's no need left over. There's no want left over. There's none of the negatives are left over. They've all been kind of cleaned up. So if you can manage to accomplish that, then the red button scenario now is no longer urgent. There's no need for it. But you have no hope in fucking hell of getting there, and we're talking about not being there. We're talking about a circumstance where we don't exist in that fucking world.
So how much time are you willing to allow for that?
Well, you're asking me personally. I'm saying that logically I don't see any reason why you would waste any time. Why would you leave the risk open? What if the human race, as I say, isn't going to do that, and it won't annihilate itself, and it's going to turn into a cockroach species, that the average human being is going to live like a fucking goddamn Middle Ages, brutal, hard, shitty life for the next thousands of years? Human beings will be living in those conditions. What if that's the scenario, and then they'll finally be killed because the atmosphere, half the atmosphere will be burned off, and the rest of the human race will start to slowly be killed off because the environmental circumstances will become impossible, and slowly but surely will eventually be exterminated in 3,000 years from now, and that's the scenario. So why would I not press the button now to prevent that risk? There's still nothing to be accomplished. There's still nothing on the upside. There's only downside risk. There's no upside potential, just downside risk. The upside potential is that you might get to the neutral. Well, a neutral isn't good enough. Winning no money on the gambling. If I took you to the casino and I said, here, You have a chance to win nothing, okay, like you lose nothing, or you lose something. And those are the two choices you have. So here's your dice. Are you going to roll the dice? I mean, the best you can do is not lose. Okay? Why would you roll the dice? The best I can do is not lose, but I can lose all my money. So that's I can risk losing all my money for the win of not losing anything. I mean, that would be ludicrous.
I guess I just don't see the default position, the neutral position where you do. Like right now, I consider myself in the neutral position. I'm not suffering.
I understand that, but there's no point in arguing it, like saying I don't understand that, or I'm not arguing from that position, because that's the position I'm arguing from. So until we agree on that, that's going to be a real problem. That's like a God in the China shop thing, or whatever you want to say, whatever the analogy is. That's a huge disagreement, all right? Because you're still claiming that human beings are accomplishing something with their little cheap, trivial satisfactions, their little hero worship, and their little soap operas, and their little pretenses of accomplishment. And I'm arguing that no, that's all worth nothing compared to one 6-year-old kid dying of cancer.
But this all boils down to value.
I can wipe out the entire accomplishment of, the entire American nation for the next 10 years with the suffering of one child.
But it all boils down to value judgments of accomplishments. Like your accomplishment, I might not value your accomplishment.
I'm sorry,
but
it's not a value judgment in a fucking guy. You keep talking like this is all done in some sort of vacuum, and I just pulled it out of my ass. I explained the fucking theory. All right, my theory, my claim is that we evolved this way. This is how life on Earth evolved, and that it was the negative state that arose first in the sentient creature, and that everything was built on the elimination of that negative state. And we can see that in all these other organisms. We can see how they have been manipulated by that creation of an illusion of value. And that's what it is. It's an illusion of value. They are chasing nothing. They are chasing an illusion, a mirage. They are chasing a perception in their fucking head, not something of real value. They are chasing an addiction.
Well, that's where we disagree. It's your idea of what real value is. I believe that the subjective experience is the value, but you're saying there has to be some sort of objective cosmic value.
Again, this is a nonsense way to fucking describe it. I mean, the objective experience, what the fuck does that mean? Is that the same thing as an orgasm and your opinion of race relations in the 20th century? I mean, these are not the same things. You cannot put a calculation or an opinion of something in the same category as a feeling. I mean, if you're going to mix feelings and thoughts, then you might as well just throw your brain in the toilet.
I mean, even an orgasm, right? You can say that is, is that even a positive? Is that, I mean, because you can always say, oh, this organ could be a little more powerful, or, you can always play that game where it can keep going up and up and up and up and up. There is no pinnacle of
again, I will argue
joy.
that it's made out of a negative. That the only reason why you're capable of having an orgasm is because you are in fact miserable. And it is the fact that you have been relieved of your misery that you are experiencing orgasm. That's the insidious nature of this mechanism of addiction, and it is exactly how it works in a heroin addict. He is miserable, okay? The heroin makes him unmiserable. That's how the game ends up being played. He does not win. He does not catch the dragon. He just chases an illusion of a satisfaction he will never obtain, and certainly never maintain.
The reason I brought that up is because I think it contradicts your idea of that being the zero sum, because like I said, it's an infinite progression. It's not the zero. You can't say that an orgasm or whatever is the zero sum, because you can keep going up to infinity. So that does, it seems to contradict your idea of that being a
how you
zero
keep
sum.
going up to infinity. Again,